Oh man, another week of Scrollies. Squat, are you... Hold on. Squat? Squat! Squat! What in the world? Squat is gone, you guys. Eggy's not even here. We gotta get this out soon. You know what? I'm just gonna head down into our Scrollies studio library and see if anyone's around.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, Zack, our librarian, a resident librarian. You're here, man. Do you know what time it is? Usually only Squat and I are here this late.
Yeah, I'm a time traveler from the future, basically. A few hours ahead of you guys, and I like to play some games in the morning. So I'm actually down here and hanging out.
It's crazy because you're from the future. Squat is stuck in the past, and I'm right here in the present.
The true present.
I might say because this is a present, like they say, this is a gift. Whoa, Zack. You're there playing. Do you mind if we just head back upstairs and do a little recording? I got to get this out. I don't know where Squat's at.
Oh yeah, happy to help. Let me just hit pause here and let's go chat.
If you could save it and turn it off, just like power bill and.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I understand that. Okay, let me get to a good spot.
Welcome to Scrollies. It is me, Team Ratnado of the Scrollies podcast. I am co-hostless in a way. Squat Cobbler must be busy. He's not here in the studios. Eggy's not here. The egg muffins aren't ready. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, whatever. Co-host today, Zack. Welcome to Scrollies.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
We've been talking about this for a while. Zack not only is our Scrollies studio librarian, but also someone I really respect for their opinions. I really hold you in high regard. I've talked to you a lot about people on stream of like, oh yeah, my friend, he's like really into Nier Automata. He's really into Bayonetta. He's really into these things. He has great opinions and he's got a great voice.
Thank you. Yeah, certainly have some opinions. I don't know if they're great. I guess we'll leave that to the listeners to decide. And don't hold back, listeners. Let me have it. Let me have it, man.
Yeah, exactly. I do really remember a lot because I think you were like one of the only people at that time. We used to work together. We used to be coworkers, and I think no one understood Hideo Kojima as well. And I just remember you were like kind of like a fellow Japanese game enjoyer, and we had a lot to say about that.
Yes, and you know what? Your passion for that stuff too. I gotta say, I bought a lot of games because of the conversations we had. I feel like I really value those conversations. I feel like I deepened my appreciation for games based on those conversations. So yeah, I really I appreciated that those interactions we could have on a daily basis about this stuff.
It was pretty wild. Yeah, and so much was happening at that time. Like I said, I think I bought a few games because of you, and since then, we've talked a little bit. I remember that I got a text about a month or two ago after not having heard from you. Like, you kind of got busy, you were doing your thing, and I was like, oh, he's got it. He's figured it out. I'll let him do it. And I got this random text out of nowhere. I was not expecting it at all. I wish I had my phone. It's like...
No, let me tell you, because it just said... And Takamaki, best girl.
That's it. I haven't heard from you in like 2 years or something. Maybe like a year or two. I don't know. And then, and Takamaki, best girl.
And she is, by the way, which I feel like we could also fill another podcast about. But
yeah, that'll be our next episode. Well, there is a prophesized side episode we were talking about. But yes, I agree. I'm surprised you got into Persona 5 because I remember I was gushing about it at that time.
Yeah, I think this is one thing that I don't want to say we argued about, but we butted heads about this. I think as I've aged, I've gotten just more open to people doing what makes them happy and not having so many opinions about it and being like looking down my nose at people. Back in the day, though, I was a bit of a snob about being a PC-only gamer. So Ratnado, I think, justifiably would razz me a little bit about that. So, Zack, you played Bloodborne yet? No. Of course I haven't played Bloodborne. I remember you came in, you're like, oh yeah, Persona 5 is so good, man. And I was like, I bet it is. I just finished a playthrough of Persona 4 Golden on PlayStation Vita. And, I was mad. I was a little jealous that, I have faith, always have faith that every game gets to PC in one way or another, but
right.
it sure hurt. It sure hurt to not be playing Persona 5 when you were having so much fun with it.
That was the issue? I didn't know that. I was just coming like waving in your face, and you couldn't even play. I didn't realize that was it. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. It's that's how I interpreted it because I was mad because I wanted to play it. So it was the issue was on my end, but yeah, that's I've since I'm like I still PC only gamer. I really love computers as a platform. I work on a computer all day. I don't see that changing anytime soon. But I really love that there's so many ways for people to play games that make them happy, and that it's good all around. Although, sorry, I have opinions about games. Exclusivity. I'm not going to talk about it. Probably.
Oh man, that's
moving on.
Maybe that should have been our topic today.
Yeah, the other topic's good too. I think it ties into what we were talking about as well.
What is a game for you that maybe you overlooked and has recently maybe come back into your life, or something that you've changed your opinion on a lot and now really love?
Yeah, so a game that I overlooked. So my birthday was a few weeks ago, and one of the games that I've been playing, the meta game of all games, is working through the old backlog.
Yeah,
and I'm down to the last dozen or so. And my birthday was a few weeks ago, and I'm kind of in that lull where I have one or two games that I kind of play semi-regularly, but I'm waiting for the next big game. Cyberpunk really disappointed me. That was going to be kind of my game, and I played Elden Ring. That was good. Played Persona 5. I'm going to hit PC finally. That was really good, but I'm kind of waiting for the next big game. So I'm working through the backlog, and there in the game list on Steam was Superland. And if you haven't played Superland, it's kind of like a Metroidvania in the first person. You're like it's basically like you're a child's toy, and you work your way through this world. It's like a giant sandbox, and there's like giant shovels sticking out of the ground. You get abilities that just like any Metroidvania, improve your traversal, improve your combat. But what's been so interesting about it is that it's not something I think I normally would have been interested in. It seems like it's aimed at a much younger audience. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, that game, as well as other games, they've been hitting me differently lately. I guess my needs, what I've wanted to get out of games has changed. And I didn't want to talk about The Evil Within, but I'm going to talk about The Evil Within, I think.
It wouldn't be a conversation with Zack without bringing up The Evil Within.
Okay, so when I first played The Evil Within, I played through it on hard. And that was grueling. It was really intense. Just resources are slim. Third-person horror game directed by the same guy who made Resident Evil, for those who haven't played it. Really good, really disturbing, just really crazy, just a really breakneck pace, really intense, especially with limited resources. I was constantly replaying sections because I missed a single shot, and it was just like an experience. It was an experience, good and bad.
Yeah.
After I finished it, I realized I don't think playing games on hard for me is the way I want to do them anymore.
Very interesting.
I think there's some, I felt like I was getting rid of my gamer card, so to speak, or I was admitting defeat, so to speak. But I realized, no, it's like my life has changed. What I have time for has changed. What I have the patience for has changed. And it's really interesting to see those, that pile of games in my Steam account. Some I bought over a decade ago and really liked, and now there's just no chemistry there, No,
100%. I think that I definitely have seen that in my own life now, a 33-year-old man. Things have changed so much. And man, I do actually, as we talked about this, I'm like, yeah, I thought about a lot of stuff like that where, maybe I had more time or I had less time or I had specific focuses when I was younger, as opposed to now, where now I'm kind of like, I just want an experience. I don't necessarily need every game to be a 100-hour plus adventure with content that regenerates and is always new. Now it's like, just give me an experience. I want to experience it and move on. Is that kind of like what you're talking about?
Absolutely, yes. When I was a kid, I loved JRPGs, and there's still a place in my heart for JRPGs. Like I said, I played Persona 5, but something I cannot abide in games anymore is the plot. I just don't care at all. I skip cutscenes. So there's been a handful of games as I've been working through that backlog I mentioned. Handful of games where I boot them up and it starts off with a cinematic that I can't skip. I'm like, nope, not playing it. Uninstalled.
Really?
Yeah, I do not have time to engage with games that way. And again, like that's not necessarily a knock on the game. It's more a reflection of what I am interested in, what I need from games right now. You'll remember we got together a few years ago, and we watched The Thing. It was Halloween. We watched The Thing, and you saw on our fridge, you saw an ultrasound for first baby. You're like, what? You guys are having a kid?
Yeah.
So we've had a few kids now. We have 3. I think that's all. That's my limit. Speaking of limits, hard mode and Evil Within. Hard mode in life is having 3 kids. I tell you, just like good. It's really good, but really intense. Resources are low. Really hard. And
no reloads. That's
no reloads.
That's the thing, is you've kind of just taken up this challenge mode in real life for yourself.
Yeah. And, I love it. I really do. It has changed how I approach games. I don't have time to watch Metal Gear Solid 4 cutscenes, I want to be playing a game and not watching a game. The story has taken a back seat for me because I need something different from a game. After a long day at work, I just want to play. Like I want to be engaging with the game. I want to feel the mechanics. I want to be customizing equipment, crafting, discarding items even. I want to be feeling the game and playing the game and feeling the controller, moving the analog sticks, pushing the buttons. That's what I like about games right now. And so anything that is overly plot intensive, I can't handle. And I want to put a pin in something too. Don't let me forget. I do want to talk about a recent development having to do with kids and games. So let's come back to that in a bit.
Okay. So we'll come back to that. But I don't know. That is honestly very shocking to me in a way. I mean, I understand the time crunch as well. I stay pretty busy these days with things, and sometimes just like you know what. I don't really have the mental capacity to get involved with this deep plot, as you're saying. I just want to sit on TikTok for half an hour and let my brain rot because I am exhausted.
Yeah.
So I do understand that. And I think that for me, what a lot of what it's come down to is just like very concise, very tailored experiences. And that's definitely for me something that I would not have been into when I was younger. It's like, I want the sweeping story with all the backstories and everything that you could possibly do. And I want to talk to everybody, and I want to get all the trophies, and I want this and this. I never had like a thing with like difficulty. That's not to me, not something, because I don't know. That was never of me. Like, it has to be so hard. It has to like punish me. That's not how I ever was. Now I just want a really curated experience. I'm like, I want to be able to beat this game. And especially with streaming, it's like, I would like this to be a week-long or 2-week thing. And then I want to be able to finish it and move on.
Yeah, because like you, like that 100-hour thing for me in the past, like that was directly related to value. Like it was, partially a monetary thing, but partially like this assumption that this game is going to be meaty. It's going to, take forever. And I still like that kind of thing if it lets me engage in bite-sized pieces with minimal plot. Yeah, it's funny. Like there'll be a game that's really highly recommended, and I'll see it's like 7 to 10 hours, and I'll be like, oh man, I don't think that's not for me. And I play through it, and I'm like, that was exactly the kind of game that I need right now. Just something where, like you said, concise, not overwhelming. Just it's like when you have a tub of ice cream, and really those first few bites are the best. But half the time you just keep forcing it down your throat, and your teeth are cold, and you're just like, I'm sick now.
But I have it. I bought a tub of ice cream. I should eat it all.
Yeah, and I think for some people too, you out there listening know who you are. Like, you do need that whole tub of ice cream, and that's okay. For me right now, like, I just need a few bites of ice cream. And that seems to be satiating my gaming needs.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. I think for me, something that is really important in a game is just that it has a direction, and I can tell so much more. And maybe there's something you've noticed in your time. You could even got games that go over decades. Like this is an older game, and we could see where the industry was 5 years ago. Yeah. But what I notice a lot is just like so much of this, you can see the hand of the publisher saying, okay, this is great, but we need this to attract the people who need endless content. Tack on this mode, do this, take the leveling system and really stretch it out.
Oh man,
and
it's tragic.
It ruins games. It totally ruins them.
Let me tell you the game Let It Die. I don't know if you've played it. It's kind of like a weird Dark Souls-esque roguelike game. But yeah, it suffers from this same thing. It just that it's been fiddled with. So it'd be an interesting game. It's kind of a little bit janky, but it's kind of like that lovable jank, like oh bless your heart, you lunkhead kind of a thing, where you'd be willing to put up with its eccentric, I guess, quirks if it weren't for its rotten skeleton built around microtransactions, artificially elongating the experience and making it tedious. Death becomes just very stressful. You have to buy what they call death medals to revive in place, otherwise you have to start on the first floor. Rare items, you can grind for days and days, or you can spend death medals to get the ones you need to upgrade your equipment. It would have been a great game. Has this really weird soundtrack. They just, what's his name? Grasshopper 51. He got all these different musical artists, Japanese musical artists from all genres to make songs themed around, Let It Die, the title of the game. So just really interesting soundtrack. Mark Hamill's in it. He does the intro. Really just what could have been such a weird, interesting game, even despite its gameplay flaws, except it's built on top of microtransactions. I think for us, people passionate about games, I feel like it's one of the hard parts about watching, over time, has been watching games just become soulless, I guess.
Yeah.
Really very much something about increasing a bottom line, not something fun, but something about increasing profit in next quarter,
Yeah.
I think that us one group of people wins with that approach, and we, as people who enjoy games, really do not.
And it's not even something like new, but even I feel like there was like this renaissance in like 2000, I would say 2007 to me about 2015, 2016, or like this series. Sure, you had like, you had a lot of games that were like trying to monetize, but it was like this time when games were really trying to be artistic, and in that endeavor, you got very short and good experiences, whereas now you can just totally see the hand of like, oh, we need this to make money. It was always about that, but
right,
it's so clear now.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, we want people to, have a successful career and, feed their families. Like, I'm not, that's great, but like now it's causing bad gameplay and what could be interesting games to be terrible. And I think that too, over time has changed the games I play and the way I approach things.
Talking about growing up, having children and gaming.
So back to that ultrasound picture. So that was one kid. He's 5 years old now. And we decided we wanted to have our kids close together. We were fortunate to have that happen that way. So I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an almost 2-year-old. They're all kind of, in a similar boat. They're really close in age, really good friends. But randomly, my oldest kid, he sees me playing the Steam Deck. He sees me playing games. Dad, what are you doing? I'm playing games. This is another thing we could talk about. I could go on about. I have feelings about games and how much they should be played. I had a real problem in high school, and I've been able to find a way to make them a good hobby again. But when you asked about games, I'm like, oh man, this conversation is happening a lot sooner than I thought it was going to happen. Like let's try it out. Let's see how it goes. Suddenly, my library of 300 plus titles is completely irrelevant because my kids don't have any motor skills. Like, the hand-eye coordination is poo-poo. Like they don't have that. And try and use 2 analog sticks? No way. And so, like, we've tried a handful of games, but all the games that I like to play, they're not interested in. Too much conflict. Death being a constant threat. We tried Cuphead the other day because my son saw it. He's like, that's the game I want to play. He'd seen some of the show on Netflix. Again, not sponsored by Netflix, not a plug for the show. It's inferior compared to the game. But I said, Brom, I don't know, man. I think we can try it. And he's like, no, I want to play that one. I'm like, all right. So we played it. He didn't last 5 minutes. He's like, Dad, this is too hard. Dad, I don't know how. Dad, I don't like this. Let's go play something else. And so it's like what they need, what they want is just a different experience than what I want. And it's been interesting to approach games from their perspective. One game that's been a hit is Totally Reliable Delivery Service. Okay. It's kind of like the sandbox game, physics-based, so you run around as characters and make deliveries. And it's just really silly, and you're constantly, getting ragdolled and flying around and dropping and breaking things and just crashing because it's weird. Like, they love that. Like, there's no threat of death. The difficulty level is intentionally just weird. And there's a button you can press to make your character fall over and fart. Like, we've spent whole sessions, half an hour to an hour just pressing that button falling down, ragdolling, and farting, and it's like it just cracks them up. Like for them, where they are in their life, like that's the way they want to interact with games, and which means that that's the way that I'm interacting with games, because as the adult, I'm the one who's facilitating this experience for them.
Right.
And it's just it's weird. Like, you know, it's I don't know. We're getting old, I guess. It's just been 5 years, and now it's like I'm farting in a game. It's like but when before it's like I want to be, you know, doing a perfect technical combo in Metal Gear Rising, and you know, shooting for the highest difficulty levels, and you know, just it's just weird. It's weird how things change like that.
It's funny because I mean, you really do have to just like cater to them, because at some point they're going to see you playing games. I'm sure I mean, not that I don't think you ever played like super like gory or like anything, you know, mature, but like that's probably something you have to think about now.
Definitely. I was playing one of the games I keep on the Steam Deck that I've decided I'm really going to try and delve into, because it's perfect for my life, you know, bite-sized portions, bathroom break game, Binding of Isaac. And so I do a couple rooms when I go to the bathroom, which is why I drink so much water, so I can have as many bathroom breaks as possible during the day. But my son's like, Dad, what are you playing? I'm like, well, this is a game for grown-ups. Like, I don't know if, you know, I don't, that's not the experience I wanted to have. But yeah, it's like, normally I'd just be playing my game, but now it's like, oh, I can't play that game right now, because I don't want to be, you know, blowing someone's head off in front of my 5-year-old and him thinking that's okay, or him, you know, where maybe the line between fantasy and reality is a little more tenuous when he's like, Dad, is, and spoiler alert out there for everybody, but he's like, Dad, is the Easter Bunny real? It's like,
no,
you know, we gotta have a conversation about that. Like, and anyway, so
Dad, is the Binding of Isaac real? I saw you playing it.
Is it okay to just be like crying onto poop and having it, you know, like killing small fetal looking creatures and like having just huge chunks of poo and brain matter all over the screen? Like, is this how I should be framing how I approach, you know, my day to day? Obviously the answer is yes. Just kidding. It's no. But you know, like, it's just it's really that for me, that's been one thing that I've you know, like, that's just changed. And I know we're probably close to time, but I want to hear, if you don't mind, if maybe talking about why you didn't play Death Stranding, because for me, like, it was the right game for me at the right time. Like, it came when it hit PC. I played it. I thought it was really engaging and beautiful and sad, and you know, it was in a lot of ways it's about being a parent. And so for me, that I really I related to that, and I felt like Kojima was talking a lot about his struggles with being a parent, and you know, all of its themes seemed to work together to just be this peaceful, weird experience I really loved. But you know, that was what I needed, and it sounds
at the
like
time,
at the time, and for you had a different experience, right?
Yeah, so
you haven't played it at all, and we talked a lot about it before it came out.
so yeah, this is definitely going to be something for haven't just been able to discuss. I guess we haven't had this forum to really talk about it. So for the listener, I think people on stream kind of know a little bit about this. There's a couple of people in kind of my community, Prokai Lotor, Code Synth, and a few others that are, you know, they really love it. And you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this really. 2019, I was having, like, end of that year, right before COVID, I ended up having just like tons of health anxiety. I had just turned 30, and it's true, like, all your body, like, at 30 is just like, you know what, we're winding things down now a little bit, not fully, but it's just like things are, you know, hey, maybe you can't stay up until 2 a.m. every night anymore.
Yeah, I
had like just some health things. Tack onto that a worldwide pandemic and my own stuff that I'm going through. I had bought Death Stranding that I think it came out 2019 as well. Yeah,
around then. Yeah.
And so I had bought the game, and I was like, I was ready to do it. I was gonna do it. All this stuff started happening. So there I am. It's 3 years ago, probably almost exactly, mid-March, maybe somewhat towards the end of March. And I'm like, you know what? I'll play a bunch of games since I'm just stuck at home anyways. I installed Death Stranding, and I'm like, well, let me use video games to escape from this world where I'm worried about my health, my mortality, and a worldwide, you know, thing is making me stay indoors because it's too dangerous to go outside. And let me escape that. And I installed Death Stranding. Let's just say Kojima a little too prescient once again, and I got like. So and I was sitting there and I was like trying to play it, and I'm like, this is just too heavy. This game is beautiful. I had it on my big screen. I was down in my basement, but it was just too much. I just couldn't handle it. I also tried watching Chernobyl at the time too. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I haven't. No.
it's kind of just the same thing. Like everything gave me a panic attack. So the game was beautiful. I remember like coming down into that little valley and Low Roar starts playing. I'm like, this game is beautiful. I love this.
Man, see, I get chills just remembering that moment. You brought it up, and I'm like, for me, like, yeah, just such an incredible. But it sounds like it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't what you needed at that time, right? Like, it was the opposite of what you needed. You needed an escape, and that was just right on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit much of time. And the thing is, though, like I've been wanting to play it, and my goal was actually to start playing it this year. I've had a couple things come up with Final Fantasy and having to finish the game as soon as possible. But after that, I think I'm going to jump into Yakuza and also Death Stranding.
And I think that's just, I guess, as I imagine our conversation, this is, I guess, for me, the best thing about games. This is just what I wanted to, I guess, get to is that, I think especially for people who are passionate about games, it's easy to get hung up on how we feel like people in the boardroom are ruining our games and just making them unpleasant. There's still a game for you. It's still a good experience to be had, I think, if you do a little digging. And I think it's so great. I mean, I love games so much. I love that there's, a Death Stranding for you if you need it and something else for you if you don't, and vice versa, right? Like, it's just, it's so, I feel like despite all the dumb things that are happening in the world of gaming, there's still so much fun to be had with games.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Zach. Thanks for being here. We've already lined up like 3 other episodes, so we'll have to like pepper those out throughout the rest of the time. But thank you so much for doing this. You're doing a personal favor to me, helping me to do this. And man, I respect your opinion so much. And you're doing stuff that I have no insight into. Gaming as a parent, as a father, that's pretty wild to me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Feel free to hit me up if we want to, you want to delve into any of those other topics. And I promise I'll brush my teeth next time.
You just put that in there. I wasn't going to tell him.
Oh, shoot, that was off the record.
That was off the record. It's now on the record, though. That's staying in.
Yeah, let's honesty and integrity. Let's choose that as our path.
Look, listener, you have to. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to delete this podcast, re-download it, and listen to it again, and see if you can tell. Now that you know, I mean, I'm sure you could tell that he hadn't brushed his teeth.
Yeah, I know. I can feel all of you recoiling, future listeners. You can hear it. You can feel it as it enters your ear holes that I have not brushed my teeth. I'm gonna do it right after we hang up, though.
Yes, yeah, same. I mean, I brush my teeth, but I'm just, hey, I'm in the business. Zach, do you have any plugs or anything you want people to follow? I know there's art and stuff like that, but maybe that's not the thing you want people following anymore.
Nope, no plugs, except I just want to say, if you're not already, make sure you check out Team Ratnado on Twitch. They're just very entertaining, very personable, real solid fellow. Really appreciate his insights watching him play. So yeah, check out Team Ratnado on Twitch.
Thank you so much. Okay, that'll do it for this week. Hey, it's me, Team Ratnado. Squawk Cobbler should be back next week. Thank you again to Zach for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so little announcements. Next thing we've got coming up, I believe, is RatCon, May 26th through May 29th in Pittsburgh. A couple names that you're going to recognize are going to be there. Plaidman86 recently confirmed. Shraxa and Jown also going to be there. It's going to be a good time, y'all. All right, well, we'll see you all next week. Bye!
See you later. Bye, thank you.
I thought you were a professional. Come on.
Professional, but I might, just to spice things up. Got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Also, full disclosure, I think I should admit this before we get into anything juicy. I have not brushed my teeth today.
Oh, so okay.
I just want to clear the air. I feel like it might be a bad omen or something. You know what? I don't know if I'm going to brush my teeth today. Just saying. But
oh, well, I was on board. I was like, you know what? That's fine. It's like 8 a.m. for you. And then you said, I might not today. It's kind of gross.
I might forget. But, gum and mints, mouthwash. No, I'll probably remember, but I'm probably going to forget. So just be aware.
We'll work around it.
Okay, good.
Don't worry.
Any of you listeners could tell, just don't judge me.
No one's gonna know. You'll be fine.